I'm Graeme Maw. I'm the High Performance Director of Triathlon New Zealand. We run a pretty tight support team here, where alongside our coaches we have three very important members of support staff who are all deployed to us by High Performance Sport New Zealand that we're extremely grateful for. They have pretty specific roles which are critical to our leadership team. One is responsible for analysing all our training and competition, that's our performance scientist. One is responsible for making sure the athletes' bodies are in good shape, and one is responsible for making sure the athletes' minds are in good shape. So we draw on physiotherapy and conditioning for one position, on sports psychology and athlete life for another position, and on physiology and performance analysis for the third. By integrating those roles, and that's a pretty creative approach from High Performance Sport New Zealand. By integrating those roles, we really bring performance impact in a tight team right alongside and in support of our coaches and athletes. For us, the impact of those performance support services is every single day in training. We'll be training 350 days a year, and in an endurance sport like triathlon, that's where the gains in performance come from our daily training. So our scientist, our performance life coach, our physical therapist, they work in training with our athletes every day. They're not in clinics, they're not hidden away somewhere as consultants. They're right there alongside the coaches, and in many ways they have their own coaching skills. As we head towards pinnacle competitions, the focus, the individual focus around the athletes going, for example, to Glasgow, to the Commonwealth Games, the individual focus around them gets tighter. The margins of error in our sport, or the margins of success and failure, are tiny, as they are in most sports, less than 1%. So trying to find those differences in those three disciplines we've talked about is critical. And then of course behind those three disciplines we work with a nutritionist and a doctor and so forth. So those teams come together very much around individual athletes as we head towards a major games like Glasgow. And even into competition, so up until the final day. Analysing the course in Glasgow from our performance scientist, it's a pretty unique course. Working right up with the recovery, we have to race twice in 48 hours in Glasgow, which is quite unique for triathlon, so our therapists will be absolutely central. And making sure that the athletes' lives are taken care of as we head overseas, whether that's about their families, their partners, their studies. Our athlete life coach comes in very central there, so making sure those little details are taken care of so that we're within those 1%ers at the end of the day. We're very excited about going to Glasgow. We've very much brought a focus on medal winning, which is slightly different to perhaps where an attitude has been before about let's go and just do our best. This is about focusing on technically and tactically, how do we go to Glasgow and win medals? And in the sport of triathlon, that's a pretty big deal, because the big hitters, the English, the Welsh in the women's side, the Australians, the South Africans who are really becoming prominent now, Canadians. There's a lot of big athletes in the Commonwealth in triathlon, so we know the front of that race will be every bit as good as any race in the world. And for us to go in there and be challenging for medals when it comes down to the final sprint will be a really big deal. So we're very excited this year. We know the public in New Zealand will be watching, and we know that High Performance Sport are right behind us.